We're back. We're back. Holy shit! It's been what? Almost a year. We're back, and we got a fuck ton of guests this day. Whole bunch of stuff we're doing. Whole bunch of stuff. We're gonna have a good time.
It's the loudest show around. Sundown After Dark with your host Bryan Chamberlain, presented by Sundown Audio.
And we are back, folks. It's been a long hiatus. It has been a long time. This is the new studio. Hold on, let's see if I can get a bird's eye view. Boom, check it out, folks. Now, it's still not 100%, but I got the room working, so we're here. Now, we got a bunch of guests at the table. We're going to focus on two companies on this episode today. We've got Chris and Nathan Munson from... We've got a bunch of company names. Which one do you want to talk about today?
Audio Apex is fine.
Audio Apex, which was formerly considered Cab, right? Are you changing it over?
Well, we bought the Cab line 3 months ago, and we're basically making it a subline of Audio Apex.
Okay, cool.
It's going to be our entry-level product. So.
Gotcha. And then we got Ethan Poissonnier. How do you say that again?
Poissonnier.
We got Ethan from the Amp Lab over here. So we've got these two companies now. Audio Apex. These guys they sell Sundown products. They also sell a bunch of other stuff. They also do the B stock equipment for us as well.
That's correct.
And then Ethan over here, his company, they do and there's a nipple in the camera. Check that out. And then Ethan, the Amp Lab, those guys are our only authorized repair center for amplifiers. So if anytime you send an amp here for a repair, and if we don't have one in stock to give you, we send it off to these guys to get repaired. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and talk to Chris and Nathan about Audio Apex, what you guys are doing there. I really want to dig into your history because you've got a lot of history to dig into.
Is that you saying I'm old?
Yeah. You've been doing this since I was a baby. Okay.
Probably. My first stereo competition was in 1985. So.
Yeah, I was born in 87. So, yeah, you've been doing it for a while. You have a lot of history, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of people just like to hear you talk because they want to hear what you got to say. So, let's start with Cab first, or Apex, Audio Apex, and just kind of tell us what all you guys do there and what your plans are with that. So now it's still kind of fresh for you guys, and where you see yourself in the next few years with that, and then we'll dig into your past. And we got your son Chris here, who's going to be taking over your reins one of these days, I assume. All right?
Fairly soon.
So let's dig into that. So, in a nutshell, what is Audio Apex?
Well, I got involved in car audio back in the 80s, and we started our own shop in 92. And we've had a brick and mortar ever since, but I've had your typical lines forever, Kicker and JL and whatnot. And I've wanted to have an online store for the longest time.
Right. And
for many, many years, these companies they would not let me sell online. It was just you can't sell online. You can't sell online. Yeah. We're from a small town in New Mexico with 30,000 people. So if we want to have a bigger customer base, the only option for us is to go to another town or do an online store. So when the opportunity presented itself to pick up Cab, and it came with the rights to sell Sundown online, I thought it was the best thing that could ever happen for me because, it gave us the opportunity to provide our services to a lot broader audience. So, and we've been doing it now for right over 100 days, and we've been pretty busy. I mean, busier than most companies would be in the first 100 days, I think. I've been rather impressed with our customers. They've been really supportive.
Are you guys working on advertisement via social media and things like that?
We haven't did a whole lot yet. We make a couple posts here and there, but we need to actually,
Yeah, I'll give you some pointers. Be consistent with that.
Yeah, I did notice. If I make a mention online, the visits to the site spike and so do sales.
Basically, you want to do a picture a day, a video a day, or some kind of a post per day. Multiple posts. Pictures help big time because a picture will catches people's eyes. You can just write whatever you want next to it. But basically, the algorithms through social media in general, you got to have that consistency of posting, and that draws in without using was it SEO or whatever it's called. It's organic that way, so to speak. I mean, Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff, it helps, but you have to keep building and building, and that will help you guys big time. So, Chris, get on that.
Need to.
I'm going to interject. As someone who built his whole company on social media, he's right.
By the way, we got Drew Jones from Bassahaulic here. He's just hanging out.
Yeah, I just want to listen. So like I said, I just want to listen to Nathan talk. That's it.
Right.
But he's right. You know, built my whole company on Facebook at this point. Now I've expanded beyond that, but consistency and then getting the public to engage. The more people who comment or like or share, it skyrockets. That's why you see companies like Down for Sound always asking questions of their people.
I noticed you do that.
Yeah, you got to ask questions.
You're constantly asking, hey, how's everybody's day today?
Yeah, how's everyone doing?
Just a random...
The more people who comment, people love to talk about themselves. Obviously, I do.
I thought you were just being an inspirational
They love to
speaker
talk
or
about
something.
themselves and post pictures of their trucks.
Yes, post pictures of your trucks. But no, people just love to talk about themselves and their stereos. That's why you'll see me post on Bassahaulic, you know, what are you working on? What's your vehicle? Just randomly.
Yeah.
Just to get people talking. That's it.
So what lines are you guys selling right now? What do you hope to pick up in the near future? Other than Sundown Audio, obviously.
Sundown and Cab.
And you do our B stock stuff, like we said.
Yes, and we actually Cab came with online Kicker, so we have Kicker.
Cool.
We for our accessories and stuff, we use Jim's Machine Works.
Good.
And we have Stinger, installation supplies, and the Sundown cables and stuff also. Right. But we're pretty confident. I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm pretty confident we're going to have Crossfire in the next couple weeks.
Cool. Good people over there at Crossfire too.
Yeah,
we
Roger. I competed at the very first DB Drag show ever at Iasca Finals in Dallas in '94, I believe, and I met Roger there. And he's a good guy.
He's been in it that long.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He came from California.
Was he with Crossfire then?
No, he ran Sherwin Vega at the time.
Okay.
Strokers.
He's been in the game for a while. I didn't know it was that long.
Him and Bill Proud and some other guys. Back then, everybody ran sealed.
Right.
They ran, everything was sealed. My truck had 26 sealed Orion XTR10s in it.
In like a clamshell situation?
It was all in the cab, an extended cab.
Nice.
And it went row, it curved around you. So basically had a row, kind of a row of your head and a row right behind your head, and it just curved down around.
Okay.
Looked really cool, and it did really good for, product back then. But I remember they came out, and, Sherwin Vega had portal enclosures at the time. And they were running portal enclosures, and it was impressive what they were getting out of a small number of drivers compared to everybody else was using a large. We were running 18 and 24 drivers.
What's a portal enclosure?
Ported.
Oh, ported. I think it was a portal.
No, a ported enclosure.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry. I'm not the most articulate person.
No, I run the show and I can't talk for shit. You're good.
But yeah, I met Roger there, and I've always been impressed with him. And he runs Crossfire, so there's not a whole lot of companies I'm interested in picking up, to be honest. I'm a guy that's going to run a few brands,
and just run the hell with them,
and just
go crazy.
And if I sell a lot or I sell a little, I'm going to run those brands. And that's all I'm going to do. I can't imagine picking up more than Crossfire, honestly.
Gotcha.
I have a personal relationship with Roger, and and he makes great products, so it's really a good fit. We've run his amps in competition vehicles for many years. Chris has in his cars, and it just makes sense.
Chris, you still have that JL build with all the JL woofers?
I still have the truck.
It's a Trailblazer, right?
Yeah, I still have the Trailblazer. It actually is. It's at my house. It's been outside now for 7-8 months. It's my lawn ornament now. So.
I understand that. I've got a few.
One of many.
Yeah. So, all right. So those are the brands you're working on. Trying to think else. What else we got going on? So anything else going on with Audio Apex? Now, hold on. Actually, you guys still have a shop though too, like
yes.
like a brick and mortar shop.
We have a brick and mortar store.
And what's the name of that company?
Eastern Audio. It's in eastern New Mexico. A lot of people get confused why there'll be something eastern in New Mexico when it's on the west, but everything in the part of the state is Eastern New Mexico University. Eastern, it's like
the name. Like here where we are, this is the Piedmont of North Carolina. It's just the word they use.
Yeah,
I got you.
So it's Eastern Audio, and I've had that store since '92. It started working. Like I was telling somebody earlier, that I actually worked at a furniture store when I was 14 back in '84, and they started an electronics store, and I moved from delivering furniture to installing car stereos.
Nice.
So I've been doing it since.
Did you know what you were doing back then?
Yeah.
How'd you gain your knowledge? Let's just start getting into this. Let's do this.
I've always been good at picking things up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When I started, within 2 weeks I was training the people that had been doing it for 10 years. It's just the scientific aspect of it is very natural to me. So I understand exactly what's going on.
I assume you are a perfectionist.
I
You
can
almost to do installations, do it right, and to get your name out, you have to be a perfectionist of some sort.
I have been accused of that by Chris mainly.
When you're teaching somebody, they're going to definitely think that. I mean, you obviously, Chris, you probably learned a lot from your father, I assume.
Yeah, I learned a good bit from him.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Hell yeah.
But he definitely is a perfectionist. I'll be,
Bring that mic up closer.
I'll tape, I'll be taping a set of RCAs in the shop for an install. And he'll come back there and he'll judge the span, the span that I take.
Iasca rules.
Yeah.
Every 6 inches.
Exactly. I'm like, really? Like stuff that majority of people aren't even going to see.
Right.
Underneath panels.
Hey, that stuff
like
matters,
that.
It's taking pride in your work, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
because there's going to be a day where another installer opens up that car
goes
and
into it.
they like, oh, they didn't take the wires up good enough. Yeah.
That's I've always, when I did an install, I've always thought to myself, if somebody tears this apart, I don't want them to think that we did a poor job. Yep. I want to have pride in that work. Even if I'm not there, I want to be proud of the work that somebody else is going to see down the road.
Because the guy that's down the street wants to talk shit. He wants a reason to talk shit and to say his work's better.
They gave up on that long ago.
Yeah.
They're just cheaper now.
Right. Yeah.
That's all. That's all they
too.
say. We'll do it cheaper.
Yeah.
But it's became easier to be a perfectionist because as I get older, I do less work and Chris has to do more work. So it's easier for me to tell him it has to be perfect than actually do it. So I have the easy end of the job now.
Well, you earned it.
I don't know about that, but
of course I got a phone call.
I'm old.
Everybody put their phones on vibrate, like I didn't.
I keep mine on silent 24/7.
My ringer's all the way down, but I'll put it on vibrate.
You're good. So let's get into the beginnings. So when did you start competing? So you basically went from an installer, teaching people how to do things, and then at one point I assume you're like, oh, I can compete. I can get into the next level of things. So let's get into that.
The store I worked at was Decor Furniture, and they still actually have a car audio shop in Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I went to high school. And I don't know if you know who Michael Hughes is, but
sounds familiar.
SPL competitor, Extreme Cup champion. I mean, he competed a lot. Me and him actually grew up 30 miles apart, and we worked at the same store together.
Mm-hmm.
So we just really, we're still great friends because we have the same mentality on things.
Right.
But the local shop would have a show, and we started having shows in '86. My first show was an Iasca show. Back then, the only meter we had was an audio control that went to 136 is the highest it would go.
That's all you needed back then, right?
Pretty much, pretty much. Because I mean, if you had, everybody talks old school, and let me put this out there right now. Old school subs are not better than new subs. Old school amps are not better than new amps.
Right.
You might find something with a higher build quality, but that's because people back then were willing to pay hundreds of hours worth of their labor to buy an amp, and now they want it for a day's worth of labor. So
a lot of that stuff was built with love in America, too.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, we visited when I first started. We visited Orion and Rockford and PPI, and they were all based in Phoenix, and we watched the amps being made. And I know a lot of American manufacturers. Jacob would probably love to build stuff here. I mean, he builds as much as he can here, but
we've been trying.
It becomes a fact that people say it's too expensive.
It is too expensive. There's two main things that we're running into. It's too expensive and/or nobody wants to do the job. So, like for instance, I'm not going to give out real numbers here, but let's say we have a cone, a new tooling we need to do for a cone or a surround. In China, in our factory over there, I mean, they've been with us for a while. But even let's say it was a new factory, okay, couple $1,000, the tooling. That's all it would cost. In America, you're looking at about 12 to 15 times that just for the tooling cost for them to make a die to press whatever it is that we have to get pressed. Then your MOQ is is a whole lot more than what China is going to need, even though China has to ship it here. MOQ is a lot higher, and then you're looking at a longer wait time. everything's more expensive, and it just makes it almost impossible. Basically, we would have to quadruple the price of our products to make it profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, we can't do that. Now we are trying to work with American companies right now on certain things. Especially we've got a new amp line that's going to be coming out, and I can't really tell where that's going to be manufactured, but it's going to be in America. We're still 2 years in the making on that. It's been 2 years and we don't even have a prototype yet, but it's worth it. It's going to be worth it. Price point wise, we're able to get the price down to where it's still affordable to the consumer. Where did we start with that? I don't even know.
One thing I thought of when you were mentioning that, I remember Jake would tell me a story once where he went through the whole process of talking about tooling with an American company, doing this and that, and he was like, all right, let's do it. And then the American company's like, we don't want to.
Yeah, they just turn you down.
Yeah, we don't want to do it. And Jake was like, I'll order double.
We got the money. We got the money. We want to do business with you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't want to do it.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe we're just lazy here in America. I don't know.
It's a distinctly American thing. Brandon was telling me last night that you guys were trying to get some work done in the parking lot, and can't even get somebody to do some work in the parking lot.
Yep, parking lot's pretty rough. This building's old. What were we gonna say, Drew?
I said the parking lot was not great.
No, it's full of potholes. Actually, what he wants to get done is the cement work. That's where the loading dock is for the trucks to pull in, because that's really bad, and we need to bring it up a little bit. But yeah, just trouble. Actually, we called a guy that did some work for Jake for one of his properties, and that guy was awesome, and he won't get back to us.
That's what he said. He said that the guy did beautiful work, but he hadn't got back to you on this job. So
I think right now a lot of people are just backed up. I mean, we're backed up really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's backed up in everything that they do, unless you lost your job. So yeah, it's like one extreme or the other right now in America due to the virus. It's either people are working like crazy or nobody's working at all. There's no in between right now.
And I don't know if it's a human nature or American nature, but when you're backed up, you cherry pick your work.
That's
you
true.
pick the easiest work.
Yeah.
You pick the easiest.
From a contractor, I would say call the guy again.
Say it again.
I said coming from a fellow contractor, I would say call the guy again.
Gotcha.
Well,
stay on him.
Sometimes you just need to be bothered.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know how that feels. I tell people, hey, if you didn't hear back from me, just message me or
call me again.
Email me again. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, you said that was 86.
Yes, that was my first Iasca show.
Okay.
And back then, it was a much.
Now, Iasca was West Coast Iasca.
There was Iasca back then. I'm not sure which it morphed into.
I thought Iasca was just started in Florida and stayed there for a while.
No, there was I'm not sure where it started, but I know the banner there said Iasca and the score sheet said Iasca, because it was actually back then there was not an SPL competition. We'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. SPL was part of the competition, but every vehicle was judged for installation and sound quality also.
And Iasca still does that.
Yes.
Yep. On the SQ side of things. I don't know if they do it on the other side.
But back then there was no separate. There may be a Loudest of Show trophy or something, but there was not a separate competition for SPL only.
Gotcha.
That is a fairly new thing. In fact, that really started with DB Drag when Wayne came out with the DB Drag at that first show I went to and met Roger. And that was...
was it 94?
94, 95.
Okay.
I think it was 94. But...
that was Texas?
It was at Dallas. It was at Iasca Finals in the back corner. It was a good time. It was really interesting.
Did they mix those shows in with regular car shows back then? Like custom shows or something like that?
Yeah, back then the shows were... It was usually part of a bigger event. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a standalone event.
Gotcha. Kind of like Samology is.
Yes.
And, like Spring Break Nationals. Well, what used to be Spring Break Nationals.
But car audio became so big that, in the early 90s, there would be so many competitors. I mean, we went to finals. In finals, it was a struggle to make finals. They only accept 15 vehicles per class, and people are struggling to get in the top 15.
Was there a point system still?
There was a point system and a certified score. You had to have points, and then you had to be in the top 15.
Wow.
So, and it was a problem. I mean, and back then
there weren't as many classes, I assume. Obviously.
Well, at DB Drag there was 13. And we had, the building was packed. I mean, there was over 100 Extreme. Extreme was the biggest class by far back then. Mm-hmm. It was broken into several categories. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 12, and 13 plus. and they were all full. I mean, it was
Nice.
it was always full. So
Back in the late 90s, it was like the mecca of car audio.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I was just getting into. I was still young at the time. Late 90s, early 2000s. That's when I started getting in. It was like I was 13 years old, and I was like, I think this is what I want to do. Because I was taking apart radios. I was installing shit in people's cars and didn't even know what I was doing, but I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw, because that was when things were like awesome. I think the JLW7 just came out. Kicker just came out with their square speakers. It was like all this cool shit that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then things kind of went downhill for a little bit there after that. And now they're starting to pick back up from what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So have you had a shop the whole time?
Since '92, yes.
So you have seen the peaks and valleys of the industry.
Oh, yes.
So tell us about the peaks and valleys of the industry and how tough was it there for a little while?
There hasn't been any huge jump from year to year. It was a gradual decline that started happening in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
It started in the early 2000s, and sales started falling. And it was never like 1 year, it was a cliff. It was never that.
Right.
But if you have a loss, it's like car insurance. If it goes up 5% a year, it's only 5%. But 10 years later, your insurance is really high.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. You get a little bit of loss of revenue every year, and it's become much more seasonal. That's the one thing that I noticed is back when it was busy, even our slow months were pretty good. Now, good months are good, but bad months are bad. So it's like an on-off switch that way. Not annually, it's annualized pretty good, but it's become much more seasonal, it seems.
For us, we've noticed, being a manufacturer, it almost seems to go politically. Depending on what's going on in politics that year, how good our business is doing or not. It does, and it, I guess it ripples down through supply and demand at the same time, but it's just weird. A lot of it has to do with how fast we can get things in and out, how expensive the taxes and tariffs are at the time, which, right now is a mess. But just politically, things going on in the world, that seems to be what drives our sales here. It's very weird. I've been here for 8 years with Sundown Audio, and I've seen some weird peaks and valleys, and it all seems to correlate with politics and what's going on that year.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to it.
Me neither. Well, we all have our
it's,
answers and speculations of what we need to do, but nobody's going to do it. We're just a little guy.
Well, I think it has to do, I was speaking with Brandon earlier about failure rates of amplifiers and the different failure rates around the country of like cab products.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying like that in Russia, the failure rate was almost nil for an amplifier, that here would have a higher failure rate. And I think it's a distinctly American thing. We expect more out of something than it's made for. We want more than we can afford, whether that be, and that's why we're a credit country. I mean, you see people owe more money on credit cards than they make a year.
I'm there. Yeah.
And it's because we want things that we can't yet afford.
Exactly.
So we want more than we can have. And when we buy audio products, the same thing. We buy a 1,000-watt amp, but we want it to be 2,000 watts. So we clip it to death. Or, we want the best subwoofer, but we buy the best value, and we destroy it.
And it gets, I was going to say, it gets harder and harder every year, too, because it seems like the race to zero. People want, when it comes to amps, people want more and more power for less and less money.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Every year.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it, is the price. And that's what, if anything, is driving the industry. It's the fact that Americans want to make as much money as possible, but want to spend as little of it as possible on product they're buying.
I wrote a piece in a magazine a few years ago. It was about the race to zero, and it's like, we see a lot every year. You see a couple new companies come on board, right? How long do they last? They might get a few runs of new product out, then they'll fall off the face of the earth. And they don't value themselves. They just want the few dollars or a few cents on the dollar, make a few bucks and get the hell out of here. A lot of them, you don't see the integrity that you need in the industry to keep a product up. They don't see their value. They don't care about the value.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to make a few bucks. And that's not just the car audio industry. That's a lot of industries. But it kills things. It makes the guy that works harder, like for instance Jacob, who tools products and gets prototypes and does his own work, his own engineering, and then you get some dude down the road just wants to kind of copy him, and or at least somewhat copy him.
And to me, that's the biggest downfall of using China is intellectual property. It's just there is no such thing. I mean,
it's a fight.
Yes.
It is a fight.
So you can work your butt off designing product, making a great product, but if you have it built in China, it's out there,
Yeah.
and
They
they're
can
going to
even-
offer it to somebody else.
You could even have a good loyalty to that factory, and still funny things happen. you
Yeah.
know? It's
That's one thing
come
I was.
on, man.
I wish on the tariff situation right now. I wish that the tariffs actually, if they're going to have tariffs, I wish that the tariffs were actually offered back to the companies that paid them in,
Right?
if they would use it to invest in American infrastructure. Building their company to build products in the U.S.
Right.
And maybe even with a bonus. If they paid $100,000 in tariffs, let that company have $125,000 to use to develop American production.
Right.
I wish that was the case. So at least the tariffs would be doing something for our production. It's doing nothing here except costing Americans money.
I don't know where the money is even going.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just. I mean, ask Jacob. He knows it's not being paid by China.
It's just the whole backwards thing. Just like we bring in parts to build here in America, but those are tariffed more than the woofers that we get built overseas.
I know. I was baffled
It makes
that
no sense.
that bringing the parts here to use American labor is more expensive
Yeah.
than just having them build it there.
It's ridiculous.
And you blow people's minds when you tell them that it's American companies paying the tariffs, not China.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now the only ones that are paying. Well, I can't speak. The only ones that are paying that are in China are the Chinese companies that are based in China.
Yeah, I think
Exporting.
that if maybe there are some instances, not in car audio, but where the tariffs are being paid by the Chinese company because they know the person buying the product here won't buy it if they have to pay the tariff. So the company pays the tariff for them to make the sale. But that's not happening in car audio for sure.
We have had to up our prices just to take care of the tariffs, plain and simple.
Yeah.
We've spread it out throughout all the products, by percentage, because we can't afford to. We would go up belly up if we had to pay all the tariffs. We would make it's like 25% less, because that's how much the tariff went up the past couple of years, 25%. So yeah, we had to kind of bring prices up, spread it throughout the all the lineup, and just say, okay, guys, sorry, things are a little bit more expensive now.
Yeah. I had my own personal taste of tariffs just the other day. I ordered in a bunch of lanyards, and DHL gets them to Dallas and sends me an email and says, "Oh, by the way, you owe $340, or you can't have your lanyards."
Jesus.
At the last minute, I was like, "What?" It was $1,000, and I thought it was all included. But I guess
there's a little bit of a way around that. I'll tell you later.
that's what I heard after. It's something that the shipper has to do. That's what I heard. But but that's not how it happened here. The DHL called me, and I was like, "Okay, I'm paying
Actually,
$300."
talk with Derek. He's been doing some cool stuff around with all that too. I don't know if he's paying tariffs on his or not, but I think if you do it like if they're selling it to you as an end user and not a reseller, it's a different story.
Yeah. Well, I tried to talk to a local person about having American-made lanyards, but $10 a piece.
Yeah.
You
You can't even sell one for that price.
No, I give them away anyway. So,
Yeah.
but at least I'm only paying $1 for them now or something. I don't even know it was $1. I can't remember the exact. I think it was around $1, maybe less, 75 cents, 80 cents.
Right.
But you can't pay 10 times more for something that the customer at the end of the day doesn't care about.
Jeez.
And they expect it free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? I'm going to show the people. Actually, right now I have your website up. You can see it on that screen over there. So this is their website. It's caraudiobargain.com. Like I said, like he said, they took over Car Audio Bargain. They're calling it Apex Audio right now, or Audio Apex.
Yes.
Are you going to change the website to audioapex.com?
Well, if you go ahead and type in audioapex.com, we have a website, but we haven't transitioned the store. Eventually, the store will be transitioned to Audio Apex, and the Car Audio Bargain will just be a link that goes to. Yeah,
Okay.
this is our Audio Apex site, but when you click on Buy on the store, it goes to Car Audio Bargain,
Shop Audio Apex.
and it goes to Car Audio Bargain,
Yep,
and that's
Car Audio
because that store's already set up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually been talking to a couple different people about building us a new website, so starting from scratch. So
Awesome. You can see JP sticking his head. He's got a good website guy.
yeah, I bet he does.
So yeah, so Nathan, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show today. I really want to thank you and everybody at Apex Audio for purchasing some of the equipment you guys see in this room. This beautiful new mic I got right here. This is custom, because of you.
Yours is a little fancier than
I do.
these.
I'm the host. I'm allowed to
He's
have a
the nice
fancier one. The microphone's on the end of the table, and I think you got two. There's two new headphones and these new microphone amps I got right here. So thank you very much for that. We're gonna go ahead and go to a commercial real quick, and then we're gonna talk to Mr. Ethan over here. You guys, stay tuned.
Are you sick and tired of playing sloppy edits with squared off sine waves? Want a moment of clarity? Then sit back and relax and experience what it's like to get rustified. When it comes to transforming new hits and old classics into the best street bangers, ain't nobody got the sweet sounds of the 808s like Russ. With frequencies ranging from spleen-busting high-end to digging all the way down low into the subsonic abyss, Russticals has what you need. Sundown After Dark has teamed up to give you an exclusive offer to save big on his iconic sound. So pull out your mobiles and browse your way over to www.djrusticals.com and pick up your preloaded DJ Rusticals Fire Stick USB today. Go ahead and save 10%. Use promo code After Dark. That's www.djrusticals.com and use promo code After Dark at checkout.
So I blow subs and tear stuff up. I mean, the Tahoe's overall louder. It'll play a wider range, but
it also
takes
break easier.
Triple the power to do it.
Yeah.
That's what's funny about the.
I just keep throwing more power.
All right, guys, get your headphones back on.
That was the
That's what I
greatest
was
thing
gonna
about
say.
the Trailblazer, because we could literally go hammer on it all day doing 60s and it would never break.
Yep.
And
that's exactly.
It never broke.
That's one thing we're excited about tomorrow for the show. If as long as the rain holds off, we can demo the Nitro all day. Like the subs will get to 200 degrees.
You can do it!
Cool them down for 5 minutes and just go back at it for 30, 45 minutes.
And that's what's funny about Steven talking about just throwing more power at it. And that's been the big push, recently of the past 2 or 3 years, more and more power for less money. So I always see online more and more people, as time goes on, I see more broken stuff just because people are like, more power.
Yeah.
So
they buy a
much
set
cheaper.
of SAs and put an 8K on it, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, it was loud, but now it broke.
Yeah,
you
right.
ran an 8K on 2 SAs.
and you say that your wall truck does a 60 with 2,700 watts. You just want to demo it at a 67.
Hey, man, that mic's on. We're recording. Go ahead. Just gotta bring
Yes, I do.
You gotta bring the mic to your face.
Yes, it must demo at a 67 all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't,
So yeah,
you
we're
can't
we're
build-
back on now.
You can't
We're
build
recording.
a 67 vehicle and then play it at 60.
But you can, because most people who get in are gonna lose it because it does a 60. Like a 60 is loud to most people who get. That's the one thing I have to remind myself when I'm demoing with Tahoe is like, not everyone needs a mid 60.
No. And most people, if you hit them with a 60, 95% of them are like, holy crap.
Yeah, it
Especially,
hurts.
and here's the thing. If they think that, if they know it does a 67, they'll be more impressed with your 60 than somebody else who does a 60 because yours does. They'll think it's doing. You don't tell them a number; they think it's doing 67. People are really easily swayed mentally that way. They think that it's louder than it is.
I used to with the Trailblazer all the time. It didn't take a lot of power to do 60 with it, and that's all I would ever turn it up to really at shows. And I would actually just let it play and kind of walk away from it. But people would swear, I'd hear people, oh, that's a 65, and I know in my head that's not a 65, but they don't know any better because that's.
Hey, let them
the
think
last
that.
thing.
It's all right.
Yeah, exactly.
I did that scraping this year. I turned it up to probably a 61, 62.
Yeah, and that's
Right in that area and just walked away.
What
I went and did
what
something
frequency range are we talking though?
else. Tahoe do a 60 anywhere from 24 to like 58.
Yeah.
So I'll play something in the mid 30s, high 20s, and I could walk away from it playing a 60 and they'll just go at it for an hour or two.
Nice.
and that's always cool about.
And that's using ZV5s?
Yep, 6 ZV5 15s.
Awesome, dude.
I want to change the teams, but I'm waiting for the new ones.
Yeah. We don't. That woofer's discontinued right now anyway.
Yeah,
so.
no, that's why I haven't changed it yet. I'm just
The
waiting.
new ones, 5 years from now. We've been working on it for how long?
Hey, we'll be there eventually.
We were supposed to come out with the Team version 3 when the Nightshade version 4 came out. And we're now going to version 5. Yeah, it's been. Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm being patient.
A lot of it has to do. Well, it all has to do with like what we talked about earlier, the tariffs. That put a pause in a lot of things for us. Anyway, Mr. Ethan,
How's it going?
thank you again for coming on over. Let's talk about the Amp Lab.
All right.
So I think you brought some cool little thing here for us too.
toys.
We'll look at that here in a minute. My camera is the only one that's really close. I want to use at some point. I'm going to have a camera that's straight down. It's going to so we can do product reviews right here. But this is good enough for now. So anyway, Ethan, thank you for coming. It's you and Troy that started the whole thing, right?
Yep.
So
Troy.
Troy Dion, right?
Yep.
I wish Troy was here. If Troy was here, we'd just be talking about his aeronautical adventures.
Yep.
Dude's nuts, by the way.
Yeah, he keeps trying to get me to go up on it. Just
you know,
basically a lawn chair and a giant fan.
it's all it is,
Flies through
and
the
and
sky.
a
He'll tell you
parachute.
the same thing, and a parachute.
Dude, that is scary.
Yeah.
So, have you not done it?
No, I never have. He tries to get me to go skydiving too. I don't know.
It's got a death wish.
Chris
Yeah.
went skydiving just the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm terrified of heights. I jumped out of a plane. I was like, here we go.
If I live, I live.
Yeah, we make it. We make it.
Do they make you pull the string?
No, they didn't let me that time. They pulled it on the way down.
Right.
So.
And he went to San Diego, so he had got a bad sunburn,
Oh,
and the harness tore the skin off of him, so
Oh.
he literally had just meat on his shoulders.
jeez.
Yeah, when he pulled the string, I like when that happened. I just forgot I was falling. I was in so much pain. I was like, just get me to the ground, get me to the ground.
Being afraid of heights, once you did let go and you were in the air, what was it like?
It really wasn't that bad because like when you jump out of the plane, you're away from the plane. There's nothing you can do at that point. There's nothing you can do at that point. So you just gotta relax best you can. It's better than freaking out the whole way down.
Well, you've got a guy attached to you, and there's
Yeah.
a parachute. So
Yeah, he's got you. So
Well, see, that's why I'll never do it, because the statistician in me would be like, this percentage of people, the chute doesn't open. I do it when I land on a plane. I'm like, okay, I know how many percentage of planes when they crash, when they land, and okay, let's see if we're one of them. I couldn't
Right.
do it. I analyzed too much, so I'll never jump out of a plane.
I understand. Actually, when we get on a plane, I generally need to take a few drinks just to calm down. I don't know what, because when I was younger and I would fly on a plane, I would be fine. But as I'm getting older, it's like I'm more paranoid than I used to be. And so yeah, a few drinks help loosen me up. Anyway, back to Ethan. Sorry about that. We went on a little tangent there. The Amp Lab. So when did the company start?
So Troy started it on his own back in 2013, but it was just like a really small side thing. He wasn't really trying to do much with it. It was just him doing a little bit of side work. And then
Bring the mic up closer to you. There you go.
around 2015, I kind of met up with him, and we I was just like buying stuff local and selling it local, and I found out he knew a little bit about repairing amplifiers, and so we both just started doing that together, and then it was pretty by luck that we ended up getting hooked up with you guys. We came in at just
And you
the
guys
right
lived near
time.
each other too, didn't you? Or at least somewhere close.
Close
in Maine.
enough. Yeah, I mean, it was actually a decent drive to his house, but he worked at the local audio shop. That's how I met him.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So he started it a little bit before you. You were in school though, weren't you?
I was in school for a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
I
you
just finished.
doing engineering or something like that. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So I remember I would call you, be like, "Hey, how's this amp coming along?" Like, I'm in class, man. Just chill out.
Yeah.
So that's all done with. I don't have
That's all
to
done.
bother you while you're in class now.
No, I'm done.
So what degree do you
I need
have?
a break. Electrical engineering technology,
Cool.
bachelor's.
We kind of need that to do what you're doing.
Yeah, it helps.
It's good. It's good. Yeah. But you were doing that before you even got your degree, so I guess that actually helped you probably with your schooling. Kind of seeing
Absolutely.
it's kind of like a hand in hand there, you know.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
At least for the first 2 years when I went and got my associates, that was a lot more related. Once I went up to the state university, it was more about like the electrical grid, power systems, stuff like that.
Right.
It was a little bit less related to analog circuits, but still helpful.
Good. So what all do you guys sell and do at the Amp Lab?
Oh, we do just about everything there. Everything 12 volt related.
Let's talk about Amp Lab in general. We'll get to your other store because you have a box store as well.
Yep.
Brick and mortar. So not box store. You don't have a Best Buy.
You're on your own Best Buy.
Right. So yeah, so the Amp Lab. So for those who don't know, the Amp Lab is our only authorized amp repair center that we send amps to. So a lot, when folks send an amp in for warranty or for us to take a look at something, if we owe them a new amplifier or if they want to get it fixed, if we have one here available, we will send it to you, a new one. It's just easier for us just to send a new one to you. Then we put the amp in a stack and then these guys buy it. But then if we don't have the amp in stock, which has been this whole year, not having amps in stock, we then send it off to these guys to repair for us.
Yeah. So we like you were saying, we buy a lot of the amp cores, so we sell a lot of used and refurbished amps on our site.
Mm-hmm.
We sell some subwoofers, non-Sundown stuff, Sky High, Jim's Machine Works. We sell a lot of Slam Panda knobs, a lot.
It's probably a good accessory to sell with the amplifier that somebody's buying.
Well, it is, and we've also started working with them, so we've been designing the boards for all Slam Panda's new knobs, and his distribution blocks
Okay.
are all boards that we designed for him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
you guys are doing some OEM work too.
Yeah,
That's
we've been
cool.
doing quite a bit of that. Yeah, and then we've been doing a lot of the keychains as well.
Yeah. You guys, I don't remember didn't you do something with like a clip sensor or something like that?
Yeah, we made a universal one that I've got here.
Oh, sweet. Actually,
Yeah.
yeah, let me see that. Well, I'll bring it up to my camera because I got the close-up camera here.
So y'all helped develop the new knobs that Slam Panda doing with the RJ45.
Yep.
Those things are
That is a pretty cool setup.
awesome.
Yeah.
First
yeah,
time
I like that.
Is it okay if I rip this?
Yeah,
Like it's
go
gonna...
ahead.
First time I saw that, I was like, that is incredibly smart.
Yeah, he gets all the boards through us.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll use a knife. I'll make a mess over here.
As a multi-time customer of AmpLab, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
You're saying you break a lot of stuff?
So I bought my first 200.4 V1 from them. Now I have 4. And then I bought those keychains, a bunch of those.
Are these all the same? Or is this all... Oh, okay, we got some wire.
Yeah, it's like everything for
Okay, cool.
the limit indicators.
We'll do the close-up cam. Here we go. All right, so
Amps
first,
the only thing I don't
so
break.
tell us about what people are looking at right now. What is this?
So that's a universal limit indicator. You hook it up to your amp and you can configure it. You can configure it. We don't call it a clip indicator because you get to choose at what power level you want the light to go off. But if you set your amp to clipping, it'll make a light at clipping.
And it's called the AmpLab ALI.
Yeah, amplifier limit indicator.
Okay.
Would there be
So what is it limiting, or what is it sensing? That's a sensor, right?
Yeah, it's sensing whatever voltage level you want it to sense at. So
Okay.
if you want to set it at clipping, you can set it at clipping. If you have way too much power for your subs or something and you want to know once you hit a certain power level, you can set it for that, even if that's way before clipping.
So before you used to be able to use fuses on your speaker lines. Now you can just use this.
Yep.
Okay.
Would there be a chance of having one of those made where sensitivity knob is like hidden so we can set it for customers and
I mean, you can hide that thing wherever. You just got
Well,
to
no.
run a couple.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean? There would be like one that's designed for typical people that don't understand what they're doing. We could set sensitivity for them and put it in their car, and they'd have an amp they'd have a clip light basically, and we could set it wherever we wanted to protect the speaker. No matter if the amp's clipping or not, we could protect the speakers with that.
So
Yeah. So it's not just particularly sensing clipping. You can sense it.
It's
Yeah.
a limit.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that because some people. I mean, your amp may not be clipping, but you can still blow your woofers.
Yes.
absolutely.
Does
And
that
so it's
actually-
perfect. I love that thing. I didn't know about it, but my
so
concern
you just
is
mean like if we took this knob off
And
and
put it on
had
the
a
back.
solid, or just a solid case. that
Yeah,
you
just with a
put
pot.
this together.
just with a pot on the back that we had set for the customers. They wouldn't, because I just know if I put that in a customer's car, it would not stay set.
No.
But a competitor would. A competitor will leave it because they understand it. But it would be usable for everybody that is overpowering their stuff if it was a hidden knob.
Now,
Right.
are you connecting that to the speaker outputs on the amplifier?
Yes.
Can I see it?
Okay.
So does that actually? So it just lights up when you hit a certain limit.
Exactly.
It doesn't actually attenuate anything, does it?
No. It just
Gotcha.
lets you know.
It's
Oh, okay.
not retarding the output.
Okay.
I wanted to use that word.
Have
though.
y'all looked into anything like something that could attenuate signal? Like it's like a mixture of that and like an RCA thing through Slam Panda, where once that sees you hit a certain level, it starts attenuating the RCA signal going into the amplifier.
That's a good idea.
That's
would be
still,
neat.
but that still may not.
That way you
That
can
still
set
may
it
not
clean.
fix the end result coming out of the amplifier, though. I guess.
Like so, as that thing saw you were at the limit, it would start attenuating down the RCA signal to keep you at that max.
I've always wanted something like a cock box, like a distribution box that had, kind of like a line driver built into it with a clip sensor and all that stuff, like everything in one. I haven't found a company that actually makes something like that yet, with multiple like one input, multiple outputs. That's not a processor, by the way. It's just an analog device that has clipping indication, output retardation. I just wanted to use that word again, and just things like that. Can you make one? Let's do it.
Okay.
And
We're gonna have you making like 50 pieces by the time you leave here.
I
What,
know.
on the over voltage, what is that? Amplifier output voltage or input voltage?
Output voltage.
So limit comes on, and then how much farther does it go before it goes over volt from limit?
Oh no, that's like if you're using like way too big of an amp. Like I think those are good. They're either good for amps up to 15 or 20,000 watts.
Okay.
Yeah, and they work with full bridge as well. But a lot of the full bridge do go over that.
Is this the same thing in here, or just more of them, or?
That's just like the cables.
Oh, okay.
I like my idea of the automatic attenuation. You should
Yeah.
figure that out.
If you pull the knob off, how far out does the shaft stick?
I believe it's just like an LC1 knob. So
Okay, well, I was going to
Can
say,
you-
because
can
if it
you
was
pull it off
recessed,
without
you could
breaking
just,
it?
I would just say if you pull the knob off, you can put a sticker over it and just set it. I'm just trying to think of a way. This would be awesome for my customers if they couldn't mess with themselves, because I'd be all, if that comes on, you're going to break it. You
So
know?
Right.
are these mass produced right now? Are they
yeah,
available?
They're
for
all
purchase?
available on our site right
And
now.
you can get them on the site. Let's go take a look at your website.
I like
so with
these.
those, does that has an external display as well, correct?
Yeah, it's
like-
going to be they're in there, but they're just LEDs.
So
you
you
could
could-
mount in your dash.
You could mount that underneath the amplifier and then use the external LEDs to mount in the dash.
Okay,
And that way, so you could
just make it
hide
to where they
that.
couldn't find the knob.
Yeah.
What's
I
that
just-
called again?
The
LEI?
So, yeah, ALI.
This
Go
thing's
to
pretty cool.
Amplab Originals right there.
Only reason I knew about the external thing was I just watched a video on that like a week ago.
This is spectacular for competitors or demo guys.
Yeah.
Because
$80 value, and I assume there's a warranty on your products you make, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Tail light.
Cool.
We haven't had any of them come back yet, so
And this is the little thingy, the other thing you got right here.
yeah.
Let's
and
take a
then the
look.
parts
At,
Put it
kit.
in my console.
so this is a
You would ignore it.
keychain 1-watt amplifier,
Yep.
and he's got one right here. Actually, let's go ahead and do.
Did you find any music we can actually play?
Well, if you go on your phone on YouTube, and you type in royalty-free music, or something of that sort, or copyright-free music, then you can play it. Because we don't want to get banned, or not banned. We don't want to get demonetized for this video.
Copyright claim that they make all your money.
Oh, you know what? I did a video. We're doing a video for Donnie's install. I edited one a few weeks ago, and I'm finding out that there are companies that are claiming copyrights on non-copyrighted music just for the hell of it.
Yep.
And then you have to fight them.
Yep.
So
Yes.
thankfully, there's two that I had. Thankfully, basically, once you fight them, they give up. But it's like they're just doing it to piss you off. They're not making any money on this.
But you're not making any money on it
Right,
at the
but
same time.
it's like, what the hell? Anyway, let's see what he's doing here. What are you doing there? He's got a speaker hooked up. There's a 9-volt battery hooked up to this thing. It's a keychain amplifier.
I don't even know what.
Was it a
music
hybrid
is.
speaker? What is that?
Oh, this is a Dayton
Okay,
full
but-
range. I'm gonna
Reminds
be
me of-
making a little speaker box project for myself. So.
So he's. Is there a volume knob, or how does that work?
It's very.
Yeah, well, that speaker is also needs a little more power than 1 watt too. But still, that's awesome that you
Yeah.
just made this little thing hooks up to a 9-volt battery.
And it's got a little volume knob and gain knob on it.
It's got LED light.
and you sell those on the site?
Yeah, and we have the parts kit. right
Apparently
up there.
we have. Apparently we have some here too at our shop. We did.
Sundown somewhere here has 100 of these that
We have to find them.
to just give away to random people.
Probably send out some to our dealers, so they can. It's promo crap, you know.
Yep.
So, did you give them to us? Do we have to pay you? I don't.
No, we
maybe we
just
should
gave-
talk about that later.
No, we just gave them to you to give away.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it didn't cost you too much. I mean, you're only selling for $10 a piece. That's worth it. Somebody just needs that music for that. You know, I just need music right now.
They're a fun project too, a fun do-it-yourself project if you want to build one.
That is
That's why I
cool.
bought it. I bought some just to build them myself. And
Yeah.
haven't done it. Had it since they came out. Haven't touched it.
Yeah, when I was a kid, they had the little, I don't know if you guys have ever had them, you're younger than me, but the little science project kit that you put resistors and diodes, and it was I forget what it's called. It's like a 501 kit, and you could build radios and amplifiers, and it was really cool. But that reminds me of that.
That was part of the
Here's
idea
the
behind
here's
it.
the kit I got. Put the kit pulled up right here. Is that the same thing, or is it something different? Or?
That's the same thing. It's just that's the speaker that comes with it, not
Oh,
the Dayton speaker. 'Cause
that's why it's a little more expensive because it comes with the speaker.
right.
That's awesome. Cool.
And it saves the time in trying to source everything yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome there. All right, so you guys fix amps. You looks like you make some cool stuff. You have a brick and mortar store. What's that store called?
Exclusive audio,
And where are you guys located?
Fairfield, Maine.
Fairfield, Maine.
Yeah.
So we got two corners of the U.S. here, basically.
You want to? How about we swap? I went to Maine a couple years ago, and I loved it. I'd rather live there than where I live.
When did you go?
we went. Actually, a couple years in a row, we go to Salem for Halloween.
Yeah.
My wife loves Halloween, and Salem is central for Halloween. So we took and drove up the coast, and we went up to Two Lights by Portland, Maine, and we drove across and went across the Caucamogus or whatever highway through New Hampshire and did all the trees and stuff. It's beautiful up there. I didn't go to really farther northern Maine, but I don't think anybody lives in northern Maine.
No.
I think it's just trees.
Once you give up
Trees and moose.
Yeah,
Once you
it's
get to
just moose. That's what I say.
when you get to
Above
Portland,
Bangor,
it's
all
pretty much
moose.
it, I think.
Yeah, I flew up to Bangor when I was 17. That's actually where I got my tattoo, in Bangor, Maine. My first ever tattoo. Says I'm crazy.
How many decades ago was that?
I don't know. I was 17. I'm 33 now, so whatever that math is.
That was like yesterday.
So I flew up there. I went up there in March, like mid-March, and there was still piles of snow on
Oh
the
yeah,
ground.
we'll still get big
In March.
snowstorms in March.
Jesus. But yeah, I had a great time up there. It's beautiful. We went to, I think it's called Acadia or Arcadia or something
Acadia
like that.
National Park.
Yeah, it's kind of like an island where I
Yep.
went. So that's a beautiful area. The lobster was cheap. You basically just go to a person's house on the water and be like, hey, can I have a lobster? And they always have lobster up there. So
Yeah.
Apparently only in the summer, though. If you go in the winter, everybody closes. I mean, I didn't know that. We go to the coast, and we're like, I'm going to have a lobster roll on the coast, and everything says closed till spring.
Yep.
I'm like, what?
I was telling Bryan, we were talking about Maine, and I was like, yeah, it's beautiful, it's amazing from May through October, and then
Then it's dead.
well, it's dead, but it's very cold. January
It's
and
gotta be
February, if you
ridiculous.
came there, you
I
would
mean,
not.
we get into the teens here in North Carolina.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm guessing that that's like the average temperature for January.
Actually,
and February.
we've gotten
Probably,
single digits. Usually a few times out of year we'll get single digits.
I
But
remember
that's probably normal for
my
you.
second year in college. I was taking a class where I had to keep going outside, and it was the coldest winter we had had in years. We set a record. It was like 23 days in March below 0 degrees, and we kept having to go outside. It was awful.
Everything breaks.
Oh, it's
Everything
awful.
breaks. Every pipe, everything. You can't have a well up there probably, or if you do, it has to have its own house.
It's got to be insulated really well.
Yeah.
No. We had the threat of ice once in Louisiana. They said it might ice tomorrow. They closed schools.
We'll
Yeah.
probably get a threat next week of ice.
It gets pretty shitty over here that way sometimes. Like it'll flurry and it'll call school off here.
We've had the deepest snow we've had that I can remember. It was an inch.
You Southern boys, you just don't
It was
know.
an inch. Hey, I've seen snow once. All right, it was in New York. I've seen snow once.
I actually grew up in West Virginia, right south of Pittsburgh, right into West Virginia, and it snows a lot there.
Yep.
And one winter, when I was, I don't know, 6th grade or something, we went and saw my sister in Tampa, and they were freaking out and putting out all these pots and stuff in the orange groves because they were worried it was going to freeze. It was going to get to 32 degrees, and it was the end of the world. And I'm like, we're out on the beach in our shorts, and we're like, this is perfect.
It hits 40. I'm staying inside. That's too cold.
You need to move to Havasu with Mike.
Yeah, but like the summertime heat where you live, dude, it's got to be just. I mean, it's hot here.
No,
I can only imagine.
Outside here is great. It feels
It's
fantastic outside.
thick, dude. Actually, last week
Feels
was
fantastic.
rough. I can only imagine. I'm a fat dude and I melt in the heat.
I mean,
Bad.
like the average temperature in Louisiana, where I live, is like, I think today's 93.
How do you even have a gut at all living down there?
I love to eat.
Fried pickles.
Our food is really good in the South.
Right.
And the food up here, it's alright, but our food's really good in the South. So we eat good. And then I work inside now.
I got you.
I'm over the working outside thing.
Oh,
That's all him.
If you guys watch last year, we did a show with Drew, and he was talking about his time overseas, and that's some heat.
Yep, I was the only person willing to work in the sun in Saudi Arabia.
Jesus.
I was out there for like an hour. It was 3% humidity, so I didn't realize I wasn't sweating. I was sweating, but it was evaporating instantly. I didn't realize it. And they're like, they came and got me. They're like, hey man, you need to come inside for a little while. Like, oh man, that's good. It's not that hot. Like, no.
You stop sweating.
You're gonna dehydrate. Like you're probably already there. You need to come inside.
Did it get real humid at night?
No.
No?
It was just massive temperature swings. So it'd be 110, 115 in the day, and then 60 at night. So you'd be, hot during the day, but then at night at 60 degrees, I was shivering.
Huh.
I had to wear like sweatpants.
It's dry, right?
Yeah, it's super dry. 3% humidity, 2% humidity.
Jesus.
I guess my other son was just stationed at Al Dhafra, which is up on the Persian Gulf somewhere. And during the day it would be 100 and fairly humid, but at night it would be the heat index was like 130 because the humidity was just off the charts at night.
Yeah, if you're right next to the coast, that's how it was.
And he said it was miserable.
We were in Riyadh, which is like dead center of the desert, so it was never humid.
Just sand.
But
Sand sucked it all over.
Basically, so we went to Bahrain for a weekend. I was there like 3 months. Went to Bahrain, which is a little island off of Saudi Arabia. We went to go relax. That's the only place you can get beer. $8 a bottle of beer, but we drank it because
it was
dry country,
right?
Saudi. So we get there. Like, all right, well, we expected the same temperatures. We walked outside of the bar at like 1 o'clock in the morning. It had to be 1 billion degrees because, like I said, it was humid and then it was hot. And it was humidity. That was like home, but just hotter.
Yeah.
I was not prepared.
He said when it rained, it was so humid the water couldn't evaporate. They had to pump it out of everywhere on base because it was too humid to evaporate.
And then they don't have any drainage because it never rains there really. So it rained there a couple times a year. The streets will flood because there's no drainage because it doesn't rain.
Jeez.
This is a big swinging conversation.
Yep. Anyway, let's go ahead and end this here. I want to thank the two of you for telling us about your companies. Thank you very much for coming. You both have traveled very far to get here. Thank you for being on the show. And Nathan, thank you very much for helping get some of the equipment in here. And yeah, guys, we're back. The show's on. It's happening again. Hopefully every week when we're posting new shows. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share the hell out of this. Comment below. All that great stuff. Thank you very much.
It's the loudest show around. Sundown After Dark with your host Bryan Chamberlain. Presented by Sundown Audio.